Morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for watching and looking at our podcast on YouTube and on Spotify and Apple. This is Dean with Sheet Metal Unleashed. This is a new podcast, and we're bringing you another series in the podcast. We've got a great guest from Australia. His name is David White from Advanced Robotic Technologies, and they have some great stuff going on, great manufacturing and I think it'll be a great day. All right. So let me bring David in here and we'll go to town on this podcast. Hey David, how are you?
Yeah, good mate. Yourself?
Good. Keeping busy. Well, trying to stay busy with the recent current affairs. But so I wanted to get you on here, and you build some awesome machines. One of the machines you build is a metal tech, and I always get customers ask me about how manufacturing is done in Australia, how it is there, and I get a lot of people from New Zealand, Australia, and that ask me the same question about American manufacturing. So that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast as well, because you see a lot of different stuff in your industry. So um, go ahead, introduce yourself and how the company got started, the origin, and the backstory.
Yeah, sure. Well, where do we start? Probably, I guess, if you go right back to when I was a kid, I was always right into computers and electronics and wanted to make robots and all of that sort of thing. So it was really a hobby right from when I was a little kid. I've got a photo of me sitting on my grandparents' porch with a little toy that I'd pulled apart. I was probably about 4 or 5 years old, so I was always wanting to know how things worked. So that was really the start of everything. And as I got older, my toys got a little bit more interesting and more expensive. Got into computers a little bit when I was just from about 10 years old. Nothing very fancy, but I started pulling them apart and wiring things into them and trying to, get it to control things and doing things it wasn't meant to do. So that was my hobby. But as life sometimes happens, it gets in the road, and had a small family fairly early on, so we had to earn a living. So I ended up going into the signwriting industry because that's what my father's trade, and so that took me away from electronics for quite some time, but it was always in the back of my mind. I always wanted to get back into designing and manufacturing something with electronics. So actually what started me off, I wanted to build a machine to cut out lettering for my signwriting business. So I started just tinkering around, just pulling things apart, trying to figure out how everything works. And eventually I built a servo drive under my house in a basement type thing, and, got a servo drive working with bits of printers and everything. Didn't work very well, but, I figured out the basics of motion control, and I built my first machine, and it was just for myself. That was about 20. I got it working around 28 years ago. Right. And it was just, like I said, just for myself. And then a friend of mine said, you could sell this machine. I said, no one would want this heap of junk. But he said, no, why don't you sell it? And, you could use the money to build a better one. So that was really the start of things. He found a buyer for it within a day or so.
Nice.
And we formed a company. There was another acquaintance that was in a mechanical engineering, and he came in as well. So there was the three of us, and we kicked it off. And we were working under my house, building machines, welding at midnight, 2 a.m., upsetting the neighbors, and that's where it started. Eventually, the local council government kicked us out, and we had to go and get an industrial shed. And went along. That was actually a CNC router, the first machine I built.
Yeah.
And back in the 1990s, and the first customer said, or the second customer it was, he said, that'd be great, but do you think you could hook a plasma cutter up to it? So that was when our foray into sheet metal started. It was basically the second customer right off the bat. So we had a little plasma torch hooked up to our router, and we're cutting sheet metal with it. And sort of went from there. And since then, we've been pretty much 50-50 with CNC routers and CNC plasma cutters as their main product range. It's grown to today. We've got a factory there in Brisbane here, where I live, and that's got around 50 people there working away, building machines and all supporting activities. So we do everything from circuit design to software development, full 3D modeling, machine design. We got metal fabrication. We've got a CNC department, obviously. You name it. People building cable harnesses. Sales departments. We've got service department. It's just very vertically integrated. So that's really how it came about. All
Nice.
self.
And so what's the company's core mission philosophy that drives the whole team today? And
well, that's a tough one. I think the biggest thing that we've built our business on is support. Making sure we're there for the customers, because people that buy our machines, they really rely on the machines, and they often their business is built around the machine they bought from us, and just providing that support. So giving them the confidence that they can rely on it, that we're going to be there today, tomorrow, 10 years time to support the machine. So just building a good quality product that people can depend on is really the key philosophy, and also always doing the right thing by the customers.
Yeah,
that's really what we strive for.
Yeah, that's what everything is based around the customers and support for me as well, making sure everybody's happy. There are some rainy days sometimes, but it happens. But so being Australian based company, how does it influence your approach to design and production?
It's a good question. I think it's probably something that you have to experience to understand. But when you come from a relatively small market, you generally have to do just about everything to stay in business. So, I know in the US, for instance, is like 10 times the population than what we have here in Australia. And, we could probably just build one product in the US and make a good go of it. But here we've had to build every sort of customized version of our machines that you can imagine. We've got so many features, and they just have to be better and better and better all the time to be able to keep up with the market. The other thing is, of course, we're very close to Asia, so we got to, especially lately, there's a big influx of the cheap and nasties coming in. So we've got to really rely on our products being better, performing better, being more reliable, because there's always cheaper machines out there, so we can't rely on being the cheapest. So we've got to be the best.
Yeah. And now I remember, I think it was maybe 2010, you guys retrofitted some existing machines from other brands. One was a router, CNC router, and you put your whole controller and that on it. So I know you guys get into a little bit of that. Do you do a lot of that or minimal?
Yeah, minimal. We find our controller, because I mean, you got to use our controller to really appreciate it, but it's fully developed in house. And for many years, I was the sole developer, but I've now got a team of programmers that work on it. But yeah, we find our controller is leaps and bounds ahead of just about anything else on the market for flatbed machines, but also, you know, the Metaltech beamline machine that we talked about briefly.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people that just want to retrofit a cheap controller, there's probably better options on the market. So we're really focusing on those customers that want, you know, good performance, really good functionality, and support and backup as well. Otherwise, you know, we just tell them if they don't want to spend the money, just go and put Mac 3 and a Chinese controller or something on it.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of machines that come into the market, but there's no support. I found that even true in New Zealand. You get a lot of machines. When we were there, you get a lot of machines with no support. Even some of the major brands you got in New Zealand with no support. The good thing about being here in the US is we've got a good crew here with a lot of the equipment we sell and service here. But yeah, so, but you know, I got a question here: what makes your machine stands out from others in the global market? Right, 100% quality from you guys. So I think that I've seen your guys' equipment and that and seen it running. I think it's awesome stuff, because when I was there in Australia back many moons ago, you had some great stuff going on. And just for everybody who's watching the podcast or listening to the podcast, they have their own software that runs their machines as well, and you can see some of that on my YouTube channel. So when you're looking at something, jump over there and have a look, and you'll see some stuff going on there. Can you walk us through the type of machines you manufacture? So we know you do routers, you've done a plasma, and the one I'd have really been interested is the Metaltech as well. But if you can just walk us through that and what that phase of it.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I guess if we start with the routers, for instance, like everybody knows what a CNC router is, I guess, but they don't really, because our machines are, you know, a real notch above. So for instance, our entry level machine, that's what we call an XR router. It's a flatbed router. It's got an automatic tool changer, and you know, it does your basic routing, but it does so many more things. Like, for instance, it's got inbuilt machine vision. So for people that are doing, say, traffic signs, for instance, they often print or laminate a vinyl substrate onto the aluminum, I should say. Sorry, I'm talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they'll laminate the printed vinyl onto the aluminum substrate, and then often it gets distorted. So the router's got a built-in camera system which goes and recognizes a whole bunch of you know, alignment points, and it actually distorts the CNC file. It morphs it to match the distorted print, if you like.
Yeah.
And so they'll nest a whole bunch of signs on one sheet, but they'll all be slightly out of position, so it goes and compensates for that. And that's built right into the CNC controller, so there's no other device needed to do that. Another example, just that this is our entry level machine. Don't forget, it's got rigid tapping. So we use a C-axis on the spindle and specialized tool holders, so you can drill and tap and machine in aluminum or most materials. We've got a whole bunch of knives and saws and things that go on it, from reciprocating saws and beveled knives, and so that they're used in all sorts of industries, from composite cladding of buildings to insulation cladding for HVAC, for ducting and things like that. They're used for just so many industries, and they do a great job. So we've got they're used for aluminum extrusion processing, all of that sort of thing. So basically the message is, I guess, that even though it's basically a CNC router, it's really a platform for material processing, and it could be any sort of material. And there's so much automation, like apart from the normal automatic tool changer, it's got under the deck, there's another tool changer pops up. So if you've got big saws and things like that, you can access them as well on top of the regular tools. They have rotary axes and you name it, whatever you can imagine, the machine does it. So that's from the router point of view. Then there's its big brother, we call it the RT router. These things come up to 70 foot long, and like really big CNC routers, and they're used in ship and boat building. They're used in RV trailer manufacturing, refrigerated truck body manufacturing, anything that really needs heavy duty cutting. And once again, it's got saws and printers and all sorts of attachments on it. So it's much more than just a router that cuts stuff with a router bit. So that's on that side. And then you go to the plasma cutters. Once again, it's very, very similar situation. We're not just building what do you call it, like a 5x10 plasma cutter. We've got these massive plasma cutting machines, high definition. They've got bevel heads. They've got high definition, true hole, true bevel processes from Hyperboom. They've got drilling heads, rigid tapping. They can do milling and slot milling and drilling and all that sort of thing. Plus, they've got built-in conveyors, so anything that falls through the slats comes out the end in a chute. So you don't lose any parts through the slats anymore. You don't have to clean out under the deck. They're always all dry beds, by the way. We don't go with the water beds because of the environmental.
Yeah.
So all dry extraction units. Unbelievable fume extraction. We've got multiple moving carriages underneath the slats that extract the smoke right where the cutter is. So just really high-tech machines, and that's just your basic offerings, the plasmas and your routers. The Beamline Metaltech machine, that's something else. I think everybody's just got to look that up. metaltechcnc.com. So it's metaltekcnc.com.
Yeah, and I'll link it in the podcast, and if you're in the podcast, I'll have the links inside when you look up if you're using Spotify, Amazon, or any of that. I'll make sure the links get out there, and I'll probably upload a video of it as well.
Yes. So there's basically a structural steel processing machine for those that aren't familiar with it. So you can put almost any type of steel profile, from beams and columns and channels, angle, rectangular tube, square tube. You can put pipe and sheet metal and plate steel, right up to around about it can handle nearly 2-inch plate steel. So it's got full material handling, so you can have any of those materials loaded up on the conveyor and it feeds them through. It does all of its nesting automatically. They just select the files I want to cut, and it optimizes it through all of the materials simultaneously. And queues everything up. So basically, it's just pumping out finished, ready to weld components out the other end.
The software, you guys built the software for that too, right?
Yeah, it's fully automatic. So there's no CAD CAM type thing. They basically go straight from a 3D model.
Yeah.
And not just one, they can bring in thousands of models, hundreds, thousands, whatever. It dissects the 3D model, cross sections, it works out what the profile of the material is, separates them into different materials, and it does the full 3D toolpath, all the CAM stuff automatically by itself, works out which order it has to cut, how to best feed the material through. And it also breaks it down into all the statistics for costing. Tells you how many feet or meters of whatever you're working in, how many feet of cutting, how many pierces, how many holes you're cutting, how many bevel cuts. It gives you all the statistics and spits out a price that you want to charge for the product at the end. And not to mention it's a 16-axis machine, so there's everything's servo drive. It's got a lot of technology in that machine, and it's all of our machines are touchscreen. By the way, I never mentioned that. So it's all since about 2000 we've had full touchscreen control on our machines. So really easy to use.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of your machines, and when you guys moved into the metal tech, was that the what role does a customer feedback play into that product development? Was that where that come out of, or just the need, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's probably a little bit where the US is at the moment. We're getting steel dumped on us from Asia.
Okay.
And not just raw product, but they're starting to bring in bridges and buildings and everything, prefabricated. And our customers that we were talking to, they're saying, how can we compete with this? The quality is terrible, but the price is so cheap, people are just buying it. And so basically from that, talking to customers, we saw there was a need to be able to produce quality steel components in the country, even though our labor cost is much higher than obviously what they can do in Asia. Mm-hmm. So, you got the same with the tariffs on raw materials. Potentially, I don't know what's going on from day to day at the moment, but
stainless and aluminum's pretty high, man.
Yeah.
Even here.
So, you're paying a premium on obviously products, but even on raw materials. So you really got to get the labor down on anything you're manufacturing in the country. So that's what these machines are all about, is automating as much of the product, the process as you can, and just making it simple so that people can get the goods out the other end without putting in a lot of labor content.
Our next section, I've got some questions on that too. When you say about labor, are you guys incorporating any AI into your machines, or LOT into your machines?
Yeah, there's not one specific area, but we use AI a lot. For instance, with the Metal Tech beamline, we actually use machine learning to calculate the smoothest possible motion for the robot as it goes around the material. So it goes through 500,000 iterations, and it optimizes the path for the robot and things like that, and learns each time you do it. It learns more. So there's that sort of aspect. We of course use AI in their development as well. The programmers are constantly using it to come up with more efficient ways of doing things. But yeah, it's more and more becoming part of what we do every day.
Yeah.
So,
I see everybody has their own take on the AI, and it means different things when it comes to different machines, different companies. But I do believe I see a lot of it being used. Some will probably not use it, but yeah. So moving on to manufacturing in Australia, and this comes down to labour and that. What are some of the advantages and challenges of manufacturing locally in Australia? I know here there's not a lot of people getting into manufacturing now. They all want to be YouTube famous. No punning. I know I'm on here on YouTube, but I'm far from famous.
but you're out there doing it too. You're doing it in real life, so you know you're not just sitting behind the computer.
Yeah.
As far as Australia goes, I think we've got a very similar situation to the US. We used to have a lot of manufacturing. We've seen the automotive industry, which was just firing, basically disappear from the country, which is really a shame. We used to have, Ford and General Motors, GM. So we also had Mitsubishi and Toyota all manufacturing in Australia, and pretty much that's all dried up. So that gives you an idea of.
So that's all imported now, right?
That's all imported. Yeah. We had a prime minister. They keep stabbing each other in the back. So the equivalent of your president, I guess. But going back a couple, was a lady. She said, we're a consumer country. We don't make anything. And that was her opinion. So that's what the policies revolved around. We're a consumer. We either dig it out of the ground and sell it. So we sell coal and iron and other commodities like that. And then we sell it overseas, and then we buy it back all processed, and somebody else makes all the money out of it. So unfortunately, that's the climate we have. We don't have a lot of support from the government, you'd have to say, to be a manufacturer in Australia. And we have the added blessing of fairly high wages. And a lot of import duties and things like that. So we're really we're really up there as far as costs go. So everything we do has to be very efficient, and that means that for our customers, they want to buy machines that are going to help them be efficient as well. So we work hand in hand with our customers to try and figure out ways to make their production better and faster and less waste, and all of the things that go along with it. So it's challenging. I don't think we really have any advantages other than we are technically advanced and we have a lot of really skilled people here. But we have to make really good products to compete with the rest of the world.
No, 100%. Now, you guys run apprenticeship programs. I know there's a few apprenticeship programs in the US, but not very many, especially down in the south. Maybe up north in the northern part of US, you'll probably come across a few apprenticeships. Tool and die making. I worked in a big stamping shop, and we used to laser and all that, but we never had apprentice. The only apprentice we had was either they were the apprentice in the tool room, right? Being a tool and die maker. Everybody else was, hey, you've welded. Okay, you can put two pieces of metal together. You're hired. Now, Australia is still pretty heavy in the apprenticeship programs, I take it.
I think trades they've really made a comeback, especially in the last decade or so. Going back a little way, everybody was encouraged to be a programmer or a data entry specialist or something like that. But then they realized, hey, who's going to build the houses and who's going to make the tools or whatever we need? So yeah, trades have really picked up again. A lot of people going into the building industry, but as far as what we do, the engineering side of things, yeah, we've got a lot of apprentices. We've got boilermaker welders. We've got fitter and turner machinists. I don't know if you have the same names for them, but
Yeah,
CNC and manual machinists. We've got in the electrical trade, we've got probably the most apprentices because we don't just wire up houses. It's a very specialized thing, automation. So we spend a lot of time training our electricians and technicians. So
yeah,
probably our service technicians are the most trained. They're apprenticed as an electrician, but they actually spend the first probably 6 months on the floor building machines and learning how they go together.
yeah,
And once they're good at that, then they might be, they might move on to actually doing installations and, actually working in the electrical room, building up control cabinets and switchboards and all that sort of thing. But they start off with drills and spanners and learn all the mechanical things first. And once they get a really good grasp, then we move them on. But yeah, that's all part of their apprenticeship.
yeah. They used to do that in New Zealand, and they still do. But we had a guy who was an engineer in the shop in the office, but he still had to do so much time out on the shop floor, actually using a grinder, doing what
Yep,
we were doing. You
that's
just
right.
yeah. So
Yeah, well, if they're out on a site installing a machine or something, then there might be an electrician, but hey, they've got to cut a hole in a wall to put a bit of ducting through or something for the extractor, or, whatever it is. They've got to be able to do it, and
yeah,
they've got to be able to fix the mechanical things. They've got to be able to do whatever's required of them. So we give them a good grounding in all the aspects of it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen a shift or in a demand or support for local manufacturing in the recent years, or is it you guys doing a lot of onshoring where people are trying to make the parts there now instead of bringing it all in?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. Like there's a real groundswell as far as people wanting to bring everything back on shore again.
Yeah,
So there's that constant battle with the cost of labor versus the cost of imports. So there's a lot of support for Australian made, building things in Australia, and then you get the idiots that just buy the cheapest thing they can and they suffer for it later.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
but no, there is that same sort of movement. I know we make America great again. There's some of our politicians are borrowing that slogan for their own campaigns.
yeah. I
Um,
think even when I was younger in New Zealand, we used to have a sticker that you put on some stuff that was "Buy New Zealand made" or "New Zealand made."
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
we've
I
got
think every country needs to at least have some of that going on. Not
yeah. Well,
um,
I think everybody wants to support local, and they want to buy quality, and they want support, and they want the whole bit. So if they're sensible, they'll really consider local products, whether it's our machines or our customers making their products. But we're all competing in a global economy, so it's a challenge to do that sometimes, but we do our best.
yeah, yeah. What was the big break moment where things started to scale up for ART?
I think it was probably the ship and boat building, aluminum ships and boats, because it's going back. It's over 20 years, but we had a local customer that was building a big pleasure craft, like a big cruiser or something. And this guy basically built a whole shipbuilding company just to build his own boat.
Mate.
And then he was going to obviously sell them and make more of them and all of that. And that was a pretty big concern. So they wanted a CNC router that would be able to cut. What's that? 9 meter sheets. So what's that?
9 meters. That's pretty long.
It's about 30 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
So they got 30 foot sheets of aluminum, and they wanted to be cutting one sheet and unloading and loading at the other end. So they wanted to be able to do 2 sheets on the one machine.
Wow. Yeah.
Cutting at one end and then cutting at the other end and then switching over. So
that is massive.
So that was a big machine, and that was our first foray into large format machines. And once we did that, there was another boat builder saw that. There's Hostel Ships. They're quite a big company over here, build aluminum ships. So they've got a factory down in Mobile, Alabama, I think, as well as in the Philippines, Indonesia. They've got factories in Australia, and they build everything from ocean-going ferries to pleasure yachts to they've got this 70-knot pirate-chasing gunboat that they build for chasing down Somalian pirates, and they build a whole bunch of different things. So they've got a lot of our machines, and then there's companies like Incat. They're making the biggest electric ferry in the world.
I think I've seen that in the paper or somewhere on. I've seen it somewhere.
Yeah, that's down in Tasmania, down the bottom of Australia. So that's and then we started making them for aluminum wholesalers. Like we've got companies like Capral Aluminium. We've got One Steel is a steel company down here, but they also were doing aluminum as well. So it just went gangbusters, and we're making these massive big machines left, right, and center. And I think that was really what gave us a good kickoff, helped us to grow.
So, yeah.
So
and then, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say we've done similar with the plasma cutting machines we build because of all the features they've got, and you get into a niche area and then it just takes off, and then a little bit later a different niche will start up. And for instance, there's a product called duct board or king board, which is used for air conditioning ducting, and that's like a polyurethane foam. Sometimes it's foamed phenolic, so it's this foam board with aluminum skin on either side of it, and they can make HVAC air conditioning ducting out of this stuff. And they basically V-groove it and fold it up, and they put sealant in the grooves, and it folds up, and they make a duct out of this stuff, and it can span 20 feet without a hanger. It doesn't need any insulation around it. So instead of sheet metal with lots of hangers and fiberglass lagging around it, they just cut it out of this board, fold it up, bit of aluminum tape to join it, and they've got all these connectors for registers for different things. So that's another industry that just sort of took off. So we're building these CNC routers with knives and different tooling on it for cutting that stuff. And who knows what it'll be tomorrow? It'll be some other new invention that comes up.
Oh yeah. I would think the HVAC or air conditioning would be pretty big in Australia, right?
Oh yeah, we got heat.
Yeah. It's like my son and my nephew do HVAC, and they're always slammed, But it's going into summertime here. I'm like, and we're in the south, not down in Florida hot, but it still gets hot. But so and I know you're exporting globally. You've got some machines in the US. You have some machines in Canada. Where are some other places you've shipped to in the world?
Yeah, pretty much. The majority has been in the Australian area, Southeast Asia. But
yeah,
we've sent machines to Russia, to China, to the UK. Like you said, Canada, the US. We've got New Zealand, of course, Indonesia, Singapore. No, not Singapore. Anyway, lots of countries. We used to be a lot bigger in exporting.
yeah.
The global economy has been up and down. So, we're getting back into the US. We've got a full service arrangement over there now, so we can really look at focusing back on the US market. We're very hesitant to go into a market when we don't have the technical support available on the ground. So I think some of the guys that are looking after our machines. So
yeah,
pretty important to us to be able to look after the customers. So that's probably our next focus. Is you'll be seeing us popping up in the US a lot more now.
Now, are you guys going to be at FabTech this year, or?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's when's that, around October, November, is it? Something?
Yeah, I think it's early because Chicago gets cold.
Oh yeah, I was there in 2019, and it was so cold I cracked a tooth. I didn't have a scarf.
Actually, I think I was there in 2019 as well, and
yeah, it
was actually a little slow because I think a lot of people missed their flights because of the snow and flight cancellations and that as well. And I'm like, my son
had the big Arctic blast come down from the north. Yeah, I think you're on the Atlantic side, I think, at the time, or one of the softwares.
Yeah, Radan, yeah.
Radan, it was Radan, yeah. So
my son just moved to Chicago, and I'm like, man, why would you move to a cold place, man? But
it's got some wind.
Yeah. So you sort of touched on there what's next for the company in terms of growth and expansion, and we'll probably be seeing more of you guys here in US and Canada. As some of your routers are already here, probably I would say in the boat building industry, I would imagine, right? A lot of it.
Yeah, well, it's mainly the one down in Mobile, Alabama. It's one of those really big ones. We've got other routers around doing, the HVAC ducting and RV trailer panels and all that sort of thing. But predominantly the CNC routers in the US.
Australia does an awesome job on RVs, man. I've seen some killer RVs over there, and the setup of truck camping, stuff like that, man. You guys have some cool gear. I wish we could get some of it here as well.
Someone needs to just set up and start making it.
I know. So
I know a guy that can sell a machine to do it for you.
Yeah, I know. I should be in my backyard, but I've got no more kids left at home to help me build one. So what advice would you give someone looking to start a manufacturing business today? Maybe in your area in Australia, or just to everybody out there?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's a tough one.
My wife's over here saying, "Run like hell." You know what? You just got to get in and do it. If you've got a passion for something, no one's going to do it better than you. If you want to build something, you've got an idea in your head. Don't wait for someone else to build it for you. You just got to get in and do it. And that's what sort of started our company off. We needed a product, and I come up with one and just started from there. You just got to grow it organically. I think too many people are wanting to just make it big on social media or something like that, but all of that's going to just blow over really quickly. If you want a long-lasting career, just get in and make something.
Yeah.
Make something real.
I mean, social media unless you've got lots of views and lots of watching hours, you're a long ways away from becoming a social media, especially if you talk about manufacturing, I found.
I mean, it's great as part of your network and to support people and all of that side of things.
Yeah.
Sharing knowledge, it's great. But
definitely, because
in the end, if everybody's sitting on a computer, no one's actually out there making stuff. So
yeah,
you guys got to get out there and do it.
I know. I was actually sitting on my computer making something for my camper, out of stainless steel. So, it's a good thing knowing how to do that stuff and software and be able to weld stuff up on your own. But looking back, is there anything you would have done differently besides your wife telling you to run like hell?
Yeah, probably. I just have to say, I would. Yeah, I've got into it because I love it. I love building things. I love designing and making things, and that's really been my priority. Doesn't mean I'm a good businessman necessarily. I've got the capability of it, but my focus has just been on making things and playing with machines and stuff. So probably I would focus a little bit more on the business side of things.
Yeah.
Rather than relying on other people. But I've got a good team. The guys that work with me are great. But I'm finding as time goes by, I need to put more emphasis on the actual running of the business rather than just playing with the toys.
Yeah. No, you do have a good team, and as most people know, I have the ART software and I use that, and I dig around in that and get that running on different machines and equipment. And your guys have been really helpful, and you've been helpful, and we get a lot of things done, sometimes late at night for you or late at night for me. It depends on where we connect, but it all happens, and it happens pretty quickly. So I think you have a good team.
Yeah, we've got some cool new things coming too as far as software goes. We've got you're using Toolshop for nesting and toolpathing, but we've got a new product coming called Toolshop Connect, and primarily that's going to be for managing our CNC machines. So you don't have to use Toolshop to do your toolpath generation. You can use your Fusion 360 or your Landtech or whatever, but Toolshop has got all that functionality built in as well. But it's going to have, it's already running in a demo version at the moment, but it's going to have machine management built into it, so you can schedule your jobs on the CNC machines, especially the ART machines, from the desktop software in the office. And you'll be able to pull up statistics on the machine, tell you who's logged in as the operator, how many percent uptime the machine's had under different operators, so you can see the performance.
I think that would be a game changer.
But beyond that, once we've got it out there running in ART machines, we're also going to make black box adapters for other machines, so we can set them up as we can even set them up on virtually any machine with a USB port. We can emulate a USB drive and actually act as a file server for the various CNC machines. And likewise, you can get statistics back, whether the machine's operating, or whether it's idle, or whether it's an emergency stop and things like that. And schedule the job so it just automatically loads the next job, all that sort of thing. And even manual machines, we'll have adapters for those, so you can hook it up to even your manual mill or drill press or whatever you
Yeah.
want to do. If you want to monitor the usage of any manual machinery, so it's just it's all industry 4.0 stuff that we're doing it maybe as a poor man's industry 4.0. We're allowing people to get into it at very low cost, low initial outlay.
Yeah.
If they've already got our machines, they'll be able to basically jump on board for a very small outlay and have that extra level of automation.
Yeah, no, I think that's good because I know we do it on our lasers and that remote 360 where we can monitor the laser, monitor different things in the machine, who's been running, who's actually not been running. And it's not a telltale, but in a way, we got to be more efficient in how we do things, and we need to see more green light time on the machines, right?
I mean, you can have two operators and one's 30% efficient, one's 70% efficient. So, it's going to tell a story pretty quickly.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right. So, now? This is going to probably be a hard question for you. So,
another one.
yeah. What's the one machine that you're most proud of?
I mean,
you build so many.
We build a lot. I've got a favorite, and it's not the biggest, not the fanciest, but our little XR router, it does so much. That's the one that's got the knives and the saws and the automatic vacuum valve switching, and it's just there's drilling and tapping, and it just does so much. It's a great little machine.
Yeah.
I really like that machine, but as far as the most impressive achievement, it has to be the Metaltech beamline machine. That's, like I said, 16 axis. It's got material handling, and it's got the robot, and it's got the automatic tool pathing and nesting, and it's just an amazing piece of machinery. It's really phenomenal.
Definitely is. So steel or aluminum? What's your favorite to work with?
Oh, you didn't tell me what to answer this.
I know.
I like aluminum because you can. I actually don't like. I like routing aluminum. You can do so much with it. With one of our customers was cutting would have been 6-inch aluminum panel.
Yeah.
6-inch thick for engine mounts. One of our boat building customers. To see a machine cutting out 6-inch thick plate and processing it is just, I love that sort of stuff. Big heavy duty machining, but it's all good. We get into lasers here as well. We don't build them, but we sell lasers. They do a great job in sheet metal, stainless. I just like seeing a machine make stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So here's another one, and I pretty much know, but CNC or manual, what do you enjoy more?
Next question.
Manual I like because you learn a lot, but I do love CNC.
Oh, because of my interest in computers and electronics, it's obviously CNC. But in the early days, we're making our CNC machines all on manual lathes and mills and things, because you got to start somewhere. So I learned everything the hard way.
Yeah.
But no, I like CNC machines. You can just do so much with them.
Now, one last question, and this will wrap it up. But what is a good tip for our industry that you would like to leave for our listeners and our young and old fabricators? What's a good tip? I'm actually going to incorporate this into every podcast so I can get a library of good tips to get out to everybody. So what would be a good tip?
Ooh, good tip. Look, my biggest tip for people that have got a business, whether, and it doesn't really matter what the industry is, but if you got to buy equipment, just focus on value and quality. Look, value is not price. That's the biggest confusion that people have is if something's cheap, it doesn't mean it's good value. If you buy quality machinery, it's going to last for years, and you're going to get much more value out of it than if you're just buying the cheapest thing you can. Because a year, 2 years down the track, you're looking at buying something else because it failed. So just invest in quality machines. That's the biggest tip for anybody.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great tip. And
I mean, there's probably there's a whole bunch of sayings about the quality. You remember the quality long after you've forgotten the price and all of that sort of thing. But it's true. It's so true. People go, yeah, but I can buy 4 of these things for the price of one of those. 4 of these imported machines for the price of one of those. But you will be buying 4 of them. That's the problem.
And I've seen that, and I've talked to a guy, and he's told me, I can buy 4 machines to your one, and I'm like, okay,
and you certainly will.
He's actually got several fingers missing off one hand, and I'm like, man, but I think that's a good tip. Look at the features and the benefits and the quality of the machine. When you're buying a machine, and ask about service. What kind of service are you getting? We can all say we service machines. We can all say we have a good service, but it doesn't mean that's what you're getting. Right? So,
and I don't want to harp on it, but we bring in some machines from Asia that we don't make ourselves because they're just a little bit off center from what we do. But we have trouble talking to the manufacturers to get support. And we've got technicians, I feel sorry for the guys that buy direct from, an Asian manufacturer. And how do they get any support? I don't know. It's just, you see them, they're just about in tears because they can't get their machine to operate. And, it's terrible. And they've spent their money. They've already spent the money. They don't have the money to go and buy another one now because
because some of these guys are small mom and pop shops.
Exactly. So, that was all they could do is to buy this machine, and then they bought a lemon. It's just really sad. It's a terrible situation, and they're stuck with a machine that they can't get to run or won't run properly. You just got to get that support. You've got to get a company that has support.
And that's what I say to everybody. Look, come and go and talk to a customer or that has that same machine. I can take people to see my machines in a showroom in Charlotte or Chicago or wherever we got those around, but sometimes it's better to go and talk to my customers that are already running that equipment.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know you've got some happy customers over there to have the support.
We really try hard. That's what we build our business on. And you know what? You can't keep everybody happy all of the time, but we do our best. We get people screaming at us because it took us a day to get their machine up and running again. I'm going, man, the guy down the road's been waiting 3 months for his,
I've heard in excess of 6 months on some machines.
So that's what people don't see when they're buying. They're just looking at the price.
And unfortunately, in the US, we've had some people seriously hurt or killed by machines that probably shouldn't be here in the first place.
Well, that's another aspect. Yeah, the safety.
Yeah.
Just isn't there on a lot of machines, unfortunately.
Yeah, but
Mm,
I think it's a great tip, and I think everybody should talk to your sales guy and go talk to the customers and get another customer's point of view
yeah.
on that machine or that equipment, whether it be a drill press, a mill, a compressor,
Mm.
whatever. Right?
I'll tell you what, I do have a barrow to push.
Yeah.
One last thing. Um, open fiber lasers, open top fiber lasers. They're just flooding our country. I don't know if it's in the US too, but
I've seen it, and I was actually seen one in a shop, and
mhm,
I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, I'm not a big fan. I'm like, yeah,
Well, we've got. I mean, every country has their safety standards. We've got the Australian standards, same as New Zealand, and Europe, very similar. I'm not sure if the US has
I think
standardized ones, but
I think they're actually cracking down on it this year,
well,
and
they need
that's
to, because the problem with fiber laser is it's infrared or near infrared. You cannot see the light coming out of the fiber laser, and if it reflects off a bit of melted metal, like especially aluminum, it's like a perfect mirror. You
yeah,
cannot see that light, and if it hits you in the eye, it pops a little bit of your retina, and it can do that again and again, little bits, and eventually you've got deteriorated eyesight, and you don't know it's happening for quite a while.
yeah, and
And
so
they're
I
selling
hope,
machines without they're selling machines without any covers on them. And
yeah,
again, if you look at the standards, it says they must be in an enclosure. They must have safety sensors on all the doors. You can't operate it with the door open,
yeah,
but they just keep on selling them. So
yeah, and I think they have cracked down on it, and I believe I seen a article here
mm,
because people have been hurt or seriously or killed. I don't think you can get any more serious than that.
mm,
Um, I believe some of them are actually sitting on the docks because I don't think the FDA will let them in. I
yeah.
think I
So they
read
shouldn't.
some news articles on that, and then I actually, and then I was reading. I think you actually posted something on your guys' uh, Facebook page as
Facebook
well.
page. Yeah, I
Yeah,
did. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So
We don't want to
I
see our customers get hurt any more than we
no,
don't want to see our competitors' customers getting hurt. We just want them to know that the dangers are real, and you know you might go 10 years and not have an accident, but you could lose an eye in 5 seconds if you just get in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
yeah, definitely, definitely, and
Mm,
that's I mean, I know they're all handing out these glasses, but I don't know, man.
mm,
I got a pair of glasses for laser welding, right?
yep,
It's a couple $100, but
exactly. You
um,
can buy them for 20 from certain countries, but
yeah,
you won't catch me wearing them.
no, it's like yeah, you either got to if you're doing laser welding, you probably still want to have a hood on as well as glasses because what happens if you're welding right, someone's welding right next to you, and you lift your hood and you don't have the glasses, right?
Yeah. Well,
It's just a split second.
yeah, but the laser light, you can reflect, and 9 times out of 10 it doesn't do anything, but it'll set fire to clothing. It'll, apart from your eyesight, it'll give you scars on your skin and all that sort of thing. So
Mhm, mhm.
that's probably my other tip. Just be safe.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I 100% agree. I think I've made it all the way through manufacturing, and I've been in manufacturing for 30 years. I
Yeah,
made it through with only one battle scar on my arm, so
yeah.
I'm lucky, right?
Look, I tell all my guys to count their fingers every morning, so they make sure they've got the same number when they finish the day. So,
Yeah, yeah. All right. Oh man. Hey, David, I appreciate you coming on and taking the time. I know you're busy. You got a lot going on.
yeah, no
Um,
problems.
and we do appreciate it. And I will have links to everything below in the podcast video. I'll also have links on Spotify that you'll be able to access these. Everybody, thank you. Have a great day. Have a great evening, morning, no matter where you are in the world, but be safe. Thank you. Thanks, David.
Thanks, Dean. Awesome. See you, mate.